I just sat on the edge of my bed in my apartment in San Diego, California, staring at the printed invitation in my hand like it was written in a language I suddenly didn't understand. My mom's voice was calm on the phone, too calm. "We're not going to make it, Naomi," she said, like she was telling me they couldn't come for dinner. I waited for the part where she'd say she was sorry, or the part where she'd say they'd try, or the part where she'd sound like my graduation mattered. None of that came. My dad cleared his throat in the background. Then he spoke like he was offering a reasonable explanation. "Your sister already scheduled a content day," he said. "She needs us." Content day. That was what they called it in our house now. Not filming, not work, not even a project. Content day. The day where everything bent around my sister's phone camera and ring light, where no one was allowed to ruin a shot, where the whole family turned into background characters in the story of her online life. I looked at my cap and gown hanging from my closet door. The gown still had the plastic cover from the campus bookstore. The cap sat on a shelf, flat and perfect, like it had been waiting for someone to care. My mom added, almost gently, "You understand, right? She has brand deadlines, and it's a big opportunity. Graduation happens every year." I didn't answer right away. I felt something move in my chest, but it wasn't heartbreak the way I expected. It was clarity. My name is Naomi Carter. I was 22 when this happened, and up until that phone call, a part of me still believed there would be a day my parents would show up for me the way they showed up for my sister. That phone call ended that belief, and that's when I decided to do something I'd never done before. I chose myself. Before I continue, tell me where you're watching from. What city and country are you in right now? And if you've ever felt overlooked by the people who were supposed to love you first, hit the like button and subscribe. These stories are real, and you're not alone. A week earlier, I had mailed the invitations myself, not because my parents couldn't do it, but because I didn't trust them to. I wrote their names carefully on the envelope, both of them, like I was trying to make the moment feel official. Like maybe if I treated them like parents who cared, they would become parents who cared. I even highlighted the ceremony time in yellow, Saturday, 10 a.m. It wasn't a surprise. It wasn't last minute. They had months. So when my mom said they couldn't come, I asked the question I already knew the answer to. Why? She sighed like I was asking her to explain basic math. "Your sister planned a shoot," she said. "She's doing that new morning routine series, and the brand wants family shots." Family shots. I pictured it immediately. The bright kitchen light, my sister's tripod set up on the counter, my mom pretending to laugh naturally while pouring orange juice, my dad doing take after take of walking into frame with a forced smile. It would look warm online. It always did. And that was the part that stung more than anything. Because strangers would watch and comment, "Your family is so supportive. Goals. Love this vibe." And my sister would heart those comments like they weren't lies. I asked, "So you're skipping my graduation to be extras in her video?" My dad's voice turned stern. "Don't talk like that. This is her career." "And this," I said quietly, "is my graduation." My mom made a small noise, like she was trying to calm me down without actually hearing me. "Naomi, you're always so dramatic about these things." That sentence had lived in our house for years. Any time I wanted something, any time I felt something, any time I tried to make space for myself, I was dramatic. My sister, on the other hand, was passionate. My mom kept talking. "We'll watch the live stream, okay? We'll be proud from here." From here. From behind a phone screen. From the same distance they'd kept me at emotionally my whole life. I looked at the wall while my parents explained how they'd help my sister film, how they'd drive her to the location, how she needed them to be present for her. Present. That word felt almost cruel, because I realized something in that moment. They knew exactly how to show up. They just didn't think I was worth showing up for. If you met my family at a barbecue or church picnic, you'd think we were close. My mom would laugh easily, my dad would shake hands and call people buddy, my sister would flash her perfect smile and tilt her head the way she did for photos even when no one was taking any. And I would stand beside them, quiet and agreeable, because that was my role. Our house didn't have screaming matches, it didn't have slammed doors. It had something else. A quiet hierarchy. My sister was the center of every conversation, every plan, every emotional effort. I wasn't ignored aggressively, I was ignored casually, like background noise. When my sister started posting on social media, it was small at first. Outfit photos, little videos, nothing serious. Then she hit 10,000 followers and something shifted in my parents. Suddenly her phone was treated like a business. Her bedroom became a studio. My mom bought her a ring light for her future. My dad bought her a new phone because content quality matters. They drove her to coffee shops so she could film aesthetic clips of working hard. Meanwhile, I worked 2 jobs during college, one at the campus library, one at a small cafe off campus where my hands always smelled like milk foam and dish soap. I learned to stretch groceries, to skip meals when rent was tight, to smile at customers even when my feet ached. My parents called me independent, like it was a compliment. But it didn't feel like a compliment. It felt like an excuse. When I got a scholarship letter sophomore year, I came home holding it like it was proof that I mattered. My mom read it, smiled, and said, "That's great, honey." Then she turned to my sister and asked, "Did you decide what theme you want for your next photo shoot?" And that was that. When I asked for help buying textbooks once, just once, my dad leaned back in his chair like he was teaching me a lesson. "You're smart," he said. "Figure it out." My sister never had to figure it out. Her problems were treated like emergencies. Mine were treated like background. Even on my birthdays, my sister found a way to make it about her. She'd post a story of us together with a caption like, "Happy birthday to my built-in bestie," then spend the rest of the night filming herself dancing in the mirror while my parents hyped her up. And if I looked disappointed, my mom would whisper, "Don't ruin the vibe." So I learned not to ruin the vibe. I learned to swallow my disappointment so quietly that even I started to forget it was there. By the time graduation came around, my parents skipping it shouldn't have surprised me. But it did. Because some part of me, the part that still wanted to be chosen, believed graduation would be different. Graduation was supposed to be unskippable. Apparently, I was wrong. After the call, I sat on my bed for a long time. The room was quiet except for the hum of my cheap ceiling fan. My phone was face up beside me, dark and silent now that the call had ended. I kept staring at the invitation. My parents' names were printed neatly on it, like they belonged there. I thought about calling them back, thought about trying again, thought about explaining how much it hurt. Then I pictured my mom's voice. "You're being dramatic," and my dad's tone. "Don't talk like that." And my sister, somewhere, filming herself smiling while my parents clapped off camera. I didn't call back. Instead, 2 days later, I went to visit my professor. Her name was Dr. Evelyn Marks, and she had been the first adult in my life who listened when I spoke like my words had weight. I was dropping off paperwork for a recommendation letter when she asked, casually, "How's graduation planning going?" I hesitated. Then I told her the truth. I didn't exaggerate, I didn't cry. I just said it the way it happened. "My parents aren't coming," I said. "They're helping my sister film content that day." Dr. Marks blinked once. Then her face changed in a way I recognized. Not pity, anger. Quiet and controlled. "That's not acceptable," she said. I shrugged like it didn't matter, because that's what I'd trained myself to do. She leaned forward. "Naomi, "Who's going to be there for you?" I didn't answer because I didn't know. Then she said something that caught in my throat. "Well," she said gently, "if you would like, I'd be honored to attend." I stared at her. No one had ever offered that to me like it was an honor. Later that evening, my best friend Tasha called. Tasha had watched me hold myself together for 4 years like I was made of glass. She listened when I spoke. She noticed when I went quiet. I told her about the call. She didn't say, "Maybe they'll change their mind." She didn't say, "It's your family, forgive them." She said, "That's messed up." Then she said, "My parents will come, if you want them to." I sat on the floor of my apartment with my back against the wall, phone to my ear, and for the first time in my life, I realized something I had never truly accepted. I didn't have to keep begging for love that was always conditional. I could choose people who chose me. That night, I opened the graduation guest form from my university portal. There was a section for family guests. I stared at it. Then, slowly, I typed in names. Not my parents, not my sister. I typed Dr. Evelyn Marks, Tasha Rivera, Mr. and Mrs. Rivera, Tasha's parents, my internship mentor, Daniel Cho. People who had asked me how I was without needing a reason. People who had shown up for me in small ways, so consistently that it made my parents' absence look even louder. I didn't call my parents, not because I wanted to be cruel, but because it didn't occur to me to share my life with people who never made room for it. And once I made that decision, something inside me went strangely quiet. Not peaceful, just final. What my parents didn't know, what they never bothered to ask, was that my life had been moving forward quietly for a long time. While my sister filmed herself opening PR packages and pretending to be surprised, I had been working, not just at the cafe, not just at the library. I had interned with a small production company during my last year of college. It started as a basic internship, coffee runs, script notes, scheduling, but I stayed late. I learned fast. I wrote sample scripts at night and sent them to my mentor even when I was scared he'd ignore them. He didn't. One afternoon, a month before graduation, my mentor, Daniel, asked me to step into his office. The room smelled like old paper and peppermint gum. His desk was messy in the way of people who lived inside their work. He said, "We pitched one of your ideas." I blinked. "My idea?" He nodded. "The concept you wrote, the one you thought was just practice. The client loved it." I felt my stomach drop, like the floor shifted under me. He continued, "They're moving forward, and they want to announce the partnership publicly. They asked if we could do it at your graduation. Your school is proud of industry connections." For a second, I didn't breathe, because in my mind, graduation was already a lonely thing. Empty seats, a live stream my parents would watch between takes of my sister's content. But now there was something else, a moment that would be visible, a moment my parents would see if they tuned in. Daniel asked, "Are you okay with that?" I thought about the empty seats reserved for my parents. I thought about my mother saying graduation happens every year, and I said, calmly, "Yes." I didn't tell my parents, not out of spite, out of habit. You don't run home with good news when no one is listening. The weeks leading up to graduation felt different from what I expected. I wasn't nervous. I was grounded. I pressed my gown, hung it neatly, polished my shoes, and made sure my hair appointment was booked. My mom texted me photos of my sister filming. My sister posted behind-the-scenes clips with captions like, "Big day tomorrow." They didn't mention my graduation, not once. And that was the strangest part. They weren't hiding their choice. They believed it was normal. The night before graduation, I stood in front of my mirror holding my cap in my hands. I didn't see someone waiting to be noticed. I saw someone who finished something hard without applause, and I realized something I wish I learned earlier. When people treat your presence like it's optional, their absence becomes a gift.
Graduation morning arrived bright and calm, like the world didn't understand what it meant to me. I got dressed slowly, I pinned my hair, I adjusted my gown until it sat right on my shoulders. Then I looked at my phone. No call from my parents, no text saying good luck, just a story notification from my sister, a video of her stretching in front of the camera, lip gloss perfect, captioned, "Content Day, let's go." I stared at it for 2 seconds, then closed the app. At the auditorium, the air buzzed with families, moms holding bouquets, dads carrying cameras, grandparents crying early before anything even started, people laughing, hugging, making memories. I walked through it all feeling strangely steady. I scanned the rows out of habit, even though I knew what I would see. Empty seats, 3 of them, center aisle, row 7, reserved under my last name. Empty. Then, across the aisle, I saw them. Tasha waving wildly, smiling like she was proud enough for everyone. Her mom already had tissues in her hand. Her dad stood beside her with the kind of grin you can't fake. Dr. Marks was there too, sitting upright like she belonged in the front row. And Daniel, my mentor, nodded at me once, subtle but solid. Warmth spread in my chest so suddenly I almost didn't trust it. Not longing, not sadness, gratitude. We lined up backstage. The lights dimmed, the music swelled. One by one, names were called. When it was my turn, I walked across the stage with my chin lifted. The applause hit my ears like something physical. I smiled as I shook the dean's hand and took my diploma. For a moment, I thought that would be the biggest moment of the day. I was wrong. After the last graduate crossed the stage, the dean returned to the microphone. He glanced at a card in his hand, then he looked out over the crowd. "Before we conclude," he said, "we have a special recognition from one of our industry partners." A ripple moved through the auditorium, people shifting, curious. My pulse sped up, but I kept my face calm. A woman stepped onto the stage, confident and polished. She introduced herself as a representative from the production company my internship partnered with. Then she said, "One of your graduates contributed to a project that exceeded expectations and will now move forward as a funded development." The room went quiet in that way crowds get quiet when they know they're about to witness something important. And then she said my name, Naomi Carter. I stood. The walk back onto the stage felt longer than before. The lights were warmer up close. My hands felt slightly unsteady as I accepted the folder she handed me. She spoke about the opportunity, carefully, professionally, a paid contract, a long-term deal, a real start. The audience reacted, gasps, applause, murmurs, and then she said the line that made my whole body go still. "We would also like to recognize the people who supported her throughout this journey." Time slowed, because I knew what was about to happen. The woman turned, not toward my empty, reserved seats, but toward the section where Tasha's parents were sitting. "Would you please join us on stage?" For a second, they didn't move. Tasha's mom looked around confused, hand hovering near her chest. Her dad blinked like he thought he misheard. I met their eyes and nodded. They stood, and as they walked down the aisle, people watched with confusion turning into understanding. They stepped onto the stage, and the woman handed them a framed certificate and an envelope. "A small recognition gift," she said, "for showing up." The amount wasn't shouted. It didn't need to be. The crowd still reacted. Audible gasps, then applause rose like a wave. Tasha's mom cried openly. Her dad wrapped an arm around her shoulders, eyes shining. I stood beside them, letting the truth exist in the open. Family isn't always blood. Sometimes family is presence. Hundreds of miles away, or maybe just across town, my parents were busy filming my sister. But I knew something else too. They were probably watching the live stream, because this was the kind of moment they liked. A public moment.
a visible moment. And if they were watching, they were seeing exactly what they had chosen to miss.
After the ceremony, we spilled into the sunlight. People congratulated me. Strangers shook my hand. Someone asked for a selfie. Tasha's parents hugged me like they didn't want to let go, like my success belonged to all of us in that moment. "We're so proud of you," her mom kept saying. "So proud." I believed her. Then my phone started vibrating. At first I ignored it. Then it buzzed again, and again, and again. I pulled it out of my pocket and my screen was a wall of notifications, missed calls, texts, voicemails. My mom, my dad, even my sister, over and over. I didn't open a single one. I didn't read the messages. I didn't need to, because I knew exactly what had happened. They had seen the live stream. They had watched the recognition, the applause, the certificate, the envelope. They had watched someone else stand in the place they believed belonged to them. And now they were panicking, not because they realized they hurt me, but because the world saw it. We went to dinner afterward. Me, Tasha, her parents, Dr. Marks, and Daniel. It wasn't fancy, just warm food and clinking glasses and laughter that didn't feel forced. Tasha's dad made a toast. "To Naomi," he said, voice thick, "for doing the work, for staying kind, for finishing." I swallowed hard and nodded because if I spoke too fast, I might cry. When my phone buzzed again, Tasha's mom glanced at it gently. "You don't have to answer," she said. I shook my head. "I know." And I meant it. The next few days were noise. Clips from the ceremony circulated online. Nothing massive, but enough. Enough for comments, enough for people to recognize the moment. Some people said it was cruel. Some people said it was deserved. Some people told stories of their own parents doing the same thing. My sister posted a public congratulations, all emojis and pride. So proud of my sister, always knew she had it. It didn't land the way she wanted, because people remembered her old jokes, her old comments, the way she always stood in the center. Screenshots resurfaced, and for the first time, my sister couldn't edit the narrative. My parents tried to reach me through relatives, through friends. They wanted a conversation. They said it was a misunderstanding. They said they supported me in their own way. But the truth was simple. They didn't miss me. They missed the moment, and that moment was gone. I didn't cut my parents off with a dramatic speech. I didn't post a rant. I didn't show up to their house with anger in my hands. I just stopped reaching. Silence wasn't punishment. It was a boundary. For years, I believed love meant enduring disappointment, that family meant tolerating being second. But now I understood something simpler. Love shows up. Family stays. And when people choose a camera over your once-in-a-lifetime moment, they are telling you exactly where you stand. I started working on my contract. My days became meetings, revisions, late nights that felt clean instead of desperate, the kind of tired that comes from building something real. Dr. Marks checked on me, not to ask for details, but to ask how I felt. Tasha's parents sent me photos from graduation, the kind my parents never took. Me on stage, me laughing, me holding my diploma. I saved them, not because I needed proof, but because I deserved memories that weren't empty. Weeks later, my mom sent one last message. It was long, emotional, full of "we tried our best." At the end, she wrote, "We're your parents. We deserve to be part of your life." I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I put my phone down. Because being a parent isn't a title you claim, it's something you do, and they had made their choice. So I made mine. Today, when people ask about my family, I don't hesitate. I talk about the people who showed up, the people who clapped, the people who came on stage when my name was called. Blood didn't make them my family. Presence did.
If you've ever been overlooked by the people who were supposed to stand beside you, hear me clearly. You're not wrong for choosing yourself. You're not cold for closing a door that kept you small. And if this story felt familiar, tell me in the comments, what would you have done? Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next true story.